When I was selecting a topic for this paper, it was important to me to have an emotional connection to it, just because the more that you have an emotional connection to something, I feel like the more passionate you are about it. So when I was selecting a topic, I kind of want to focus on feminism. It kind of all came about when I was watching an episode of 13 Reasons Why, where there was a group of it was supposed to be for supporting victims of rape, and they had started at their school, and it was majority made up of women, and there was one male, and even though he had experienced a sexual abuse trauma, he was labeled as a supporter and not a survivor. Until maybe about the end of the episode, and they finally realized like how much he was truly affected by it, and this bothered me a lot because to me the true essence of feminism is supposed to be creating gender equality. Now, if you are stifling the male, you're not creating equality, you are putting yourself higher above them. So there's a bunch of movements going on for the feminist movement, equal pay and, fair voting and wages, and all that kind of stuff. And all that is good, but I think we're kind of falling off the beaten path. So feminism at this is my thesis. Feminism at its core is a cause to respect, but have the effects of modern feminism taken a turn for the worse. When what started as a movement to encourage equality has changed women and negatively impacted men. So there was a part of it where I touched on the logical sense. So I read an article by Professor Michael Levin. He's a philosopher and an author of a book entitled Feminism and Freedom. He blames feminism for attempting to induce inappropriate gender equality between men and women because it conflicts with the biological variation between men and women. So essentially, what I'm saying is we are biologically created differently. That being said, we're not equal biologically. There are things that men do better than women, and there are things that women do better than men. And if we're trying to kind of go against that, we're not going to get anywhere. It's just going to make stuff harder on us. Another argument is that the idea of gender equality between men and women has resulted in a conflict whereby the feminists opt to be better than men. So essentially, we started trying to come to a place where we're equal, and now we're just trying to dictate and come over men. Like, for example, that episode of 13 Reasons Why. And even the media kind of encourages that men can't have their emotions out there. And there's a stigma as much connected to men as there's a stigma connected to women. Another argument that I had was rooted in wage equality. So I argued that there are things that women have to do that differ from men in the workforce when it comes to raising a family, and that kind of sets them back. So for example, a woman attends school to establish her career. After working for some years, she opts to begin a family, hence getting out of the workforce for some years. Maybe they only do months, but regardless. And then they leave the man that has similar education and the similar job field while they're raising their baby or taking care of their baby. Then when they go back to their field, they're behind the man in terms of experience, and this results in them getting paid less compared to the man. Even though she started at the same pace, you're both moving at the same pace, she at one point stopped. He kept going. So it naturally gives you more experience if you're continuing to be in the field and you never take any breaks or any stops. So to me, that is an argument that wage equality can be equal, but it's not always going to be exactly the same. And that's I know feminists argue that that's not right because women can't help that, But that's the whole point. We can't help that because we're not the exact same. So we shouldn't be treated the exact same. So that's really the majority of my paper. I touched on the positives of feminism because there is a lot of positives as well, and I don't discredit the movement as a whole. I just really don't think that we are on the same path that we once were, and we're starting to edge into dictating over equality. Thank you. Have a good night.